Hey y'all, this is Jamie for Dig It Homesteading, and today we are going to harvest my biggest amount of celery I've ever grown. And celery has been very difficult for me to grow from seed, and I knew it needed light to germinate. I just struggled with it. Well, this year I got it, and they're not huge stems. I mean, some of them are, but I'm going to be leaving soon, and these are going to start going to seed. Some of them already have. I've kind of nipped off some of the flowers here and there. They're kind of cute little flowers, if you can see, hopefully. But I've just been feeding those little bits to Sister's rabbit here and there, and trying to keep it where I had time to come through and harvest. So today we are going to harvest all of this, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. First, I got to get this off of here. We've been using that to keep the chickens out, and as you can see, it's not doing that great a job. Thankfully, they don't like celery. I really don't love celery, but I need it to cook with. So we're not looking for necessarily the big, huge stems, but just some to add little bits, and if they're smaller, then that's less chopping for me, which I like. So I kind of came up with this where I can lift it up and try not to demolish all the plants that it's holding. And then use that bungee cord that you may or not be able to see against my trellis over there to hold it up out of the way. So let's get to harvesting and see what we can get out of this. I got this stuff ready, and I have two varieties in here. I have a Chinese limelight, I believe it is, and then a pink celery as well. So I'm super excited to see how both are doing. So far I've only been able to check on this side, which is the limelight. And then over there is a bunch of the pink. I think they're going to go to seed a lot later. And I'm thinking I'm going to leave some of these to go to seed so I can collect the seed for next year as well. I'm going to just go through here and cut it off pretty low. And look, this one didn't get as much light. It's at the end of the bed where it's got kind of stunted out, but it's celery, so we're going to harvest it. Now it's getting better. That one's a lot thicker, so I don't know if you know how to make them thicker. Let me know. About this size is what I like, so I can not have to chop so much. But I'm gonna just get going. Enjoy. Look at all that. That's just crazy. That is just the limelight, and I've left a couple of them to go to seed. I don't want a whole bunch of them to completely go to seed. Some of these have flowers. I'm gonna use them anyway. And there is a lot of leaf, but we aren't gonna let that go to waste either. So I'm gonna finish up out here, get these washed up, and show you what I'm going to do, since we don't have a lot of celery, raw celery eaters here in our family. We just use it in cooking, and I don't use it a ton because, as I said, I don't love it. But I'm excited. We have a crop that has come to fruition after many failed attempts. Let me know what crop that you have tried, and then when you finally got it, you were just so excited. Because if you're a gardener, you know that feeling, right? You try a couple of years, and just all of a sudden you get it. I'm excited. And y'all, I've got jicama growing again. I'm very excited about that. because last year was my aha moment on how to grow jicama. So please hit subscribe if you want to check out my fails and successes in my garden this year, along with canning and who knows what else sometimes. Alright, so this is about all I'm gonna harvest right now of the pink. But isn't that cool, y'all? I grew pink celery. Ooh, dropped some. But anyway, this one seems to be growing a lot slower and not ready to go to seed. These were just the bigger ones, so I wanted to get them out while I'm doing all of this. And I grew all this over the winter here in Zone 9 in Southeast Texas. And I'm pretty amused. And it has really helped with any weed pressure over the winter. So I've kind of used it as a cover crop. Well, I've experimented to see if I could do it. So it's a win-win all around for me. And I'm going to just get this closed up and I'll meet you back in the kitchen. So just real quick, I've got the celery washed up and draining. And as somebody who videos themselves doing different tasks all over the place, sometimes it's really interesting and amusing, because for you guys, I'm talking to you, but for anybody who sees us, it looks really weird. So when I just finished clips outside, my neighbor was like, "Hey, are you okay over there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just like talking to myself." And he says, "I'm worried about you. You're talking to a tripod." So yeah, just envision that. Your neighbor sitting there watching you make YouTube videos and worried about you. But anyway, he's just really funny. He knows what I'm up to and makes us laugh. And we're blessed with neighbors that we really like. So just wanted you to think about that. Okay, so I've got everything washed up. Y'all, I'm too tall for this. And I've got them all draining out on a kitchen towel. And I'm going to have to take a few at a time. And I'm going to just go through and nip off most of the tops. And then I'm just going to chop these up. And I'm just going to throw those in the freezer, chopped up. If they're kind of damaged looking or whatever, I'm going to throw them in the basket. And either the worms or the bunny or somebody like that can have them. But I'm not going to let these tops go to waste. And honestly, there's so much. I'm probably going to chop some of those up and throw them in the freezer as well. Because even when I buy celery, I use the tops when I'm going through chopping up some for whatever it is I'm cooking. And these are just lovely. Absolutely lovely. I don't mind the teeny tiny. But I'm going to just go through as quick as possible. And get all these done. But I just wanted you to see, I'm just nipping them. That's all I'm doing. There's some little bitty flowers. I ain't bothered. They might change the flavor a little bit. But for the most part, the ones I harvested haven't gone to seed. So it should be fine. So I've got a reusable gallon freezer bag. I really like these. And I am just going to run my knife through them and throw them in there and get them in the freezer. And I'm pretty excited about this. Not that celery is incredibly expensive. Y'all, I got this set up so sister can chop. She's left-handed. I can't chop where y'all can see properly because I'm right-handed. And if I go in front of y'all, you're not going to be able to see because I'm going to block my light as well. But anyway, just going to get these ran through. And I will leave a link to those bags. I really like them. I've been using them a couple of years now. And I will have celery pre-chopped. If you've been with me for a while, then you know I like to have my homegrown peppers pre-chopped in the freezer, and onions and things like that just ready to go. because I do work outside the home, so whenever I come here and cook for my family on busy work days, I want it to be just as fast as I can. And just like that. And how cool is that? We get some circular celery. Alright, I'm going to go through and get it all, and we'll see how much we get at the end. Okay, so I'm running out of patience, and since I have this whole bowl of the leaves already, I'll show you the method that I'm going to. We're just going to treat it like some grass and get most of it hacked up, and then I'm going to chop that. So all this can go in my bowl. And there's a few with, you know, a bit of stem in there. But I think I'm definitely going to have enough. We might get a full gallon bag worth, which I have no idea if that's going to be a year's worth supply for us or not. It might be. It all just depends on, you know, what I'm cooking that year. I do change up what I cook quite a bit, so depends on what I harvest to what I cook as well. I like to cook from the garden, so if that coincides, then so be it. So we will have to see if that's enough. And I was also thinking while I was chopping, I did water this with some liquid nitrogen the first few times. I'd say probably a month and a half. I'm not really certain how long I did it. And then we were getting enough rains that I wasn't really needing to water it. So I'm wondering, I bet they like wet feet since they're mostly water. So I wonder if that would increase the stem as well. Although I do like the size of this, I would just like to have a little bit more stem for the teeny tiny ones that you guys saw, which I'm sure my weather is playing into it too, because they could still be growing, but we've had 70s and 80s in our spring, and now it's gone back down to like 50s, so that plays a part in it as well. They could sit out there and grow longer if the weather would quit sending them to seed. So I think I might try to have them started earlier so I can transplant them in the fall, I guess. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If I can plant them in the fall, then we have cooler temps for longer, because I think it was late fall, early winter when I planted these out. And it'll just be another experiment for me to try out. Alright, so we have a very bulging bag, gallon bag at that, to put in the freezer of celery and a few celery tops as well. But I have this little hack that I do. Once I can get this dried off, then I can use my chalk marker and just write celery on it and pop it in the freezer. And that helps me remember what I have in these reusable freezer bags. But I'm quite impressed. So stay tuned real quick and I will show you what I'm up to with the celery tops. Alright, so we are going to use my COSORI all-in-one, and we are going to get dehydrating as many of these leaves as possible before they start to look funky. And I don't know how long this is going to take my machine, plus it's got, you know, just rinsed. So we will be testing this out, and hopefully it will go really quick and I'll be able to put in another batch tonight. And I have noticed one of the trays definitely dries quicker than the other, so I need to set an alarm so about halfway through I can come just swap the trays. And I'm sure this would be a lot better if I had just a regular dehydrator. I used to have one of those round tower ones, and I really liked it, but it quit working. Alright, so I think I'm going to treat this like an herb, and my machine goes down to 100 degrees. So we're just going to do it at 100, and I'm just going to start it at 12 hours and just keep checking it throughout the day and see how that goes. And then I'll show you what I'm going to make with it. I'm excited to try this. Alright, here's what it looks like after it dried. I did change over the 2 trays, and I think it took about 9 to 10 hours. So I'm going to show you what to do next, and then I'm going to get my next batch going. Oh, I wanted to mention, I am going to leave in the bottoms of the plants in my garden for now and see how good they grow back, but can't guarantee that all of them are going to stay, because I might need it whenever I'm moving over all my plants for spring. So that will be sacrificed if needed, and if I have the space I'll leave some as well, and we'll see how long we can keep them in there for. Alright, this blender does still have some particles from my last green blitz through here, so I'm not bothered about that. If you are, you can rinse it and dry it, but I don't want to take the time in between for this blender to dry. So I can go ahead and then again just grind some more green stuff. It doesn't make any sense to me. We're just going to add these in. Alright, we're just going to put the lid on it. And I'm going to pulse it a little bit, and then I'm going to hold it until it gets to a fine powder. You probably have to shove it in. I did get both trays in here, so I'm going to just use my wooden spoon. Alright, so I'm going to just have to keep squishing it down until it actually catches, but no big deal. Alright, that's what it looks like. Pretty powdery. It could go further, but I don't think my blender is going to make it any further into a super fine powder. I'm going to put it on there a few more minutes and see what it does. If not, no big deal. And I just want to mention, some people will stop at this stage. Well, the fine powder stage. But I recommend you taste it and see if it has a saltiness to it. And I'm going to be doing that here in a minute. If it's not salty, then I'm going to add some salt as well. So it'll be a mixture of salt and celery leaves. But that I leave up to personal taste. And then once you know how salty your mixture is, then you know how to use it in seasonings. And by the way, this is really good in like egg salad, tuna salad, chicken salad, potato salad, all kinds of things like that, especially if you don't have fresh celery on hand to add to things like that. And make sure when you pop off the lid, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's like, it looks like smoke coming out, and that's the fine particles from in here that you don't want to breathe in. And it did get, I used the grind that time, and it does look much better, which makes sense, duh. Alright, I'm just going to taste a tiny pinch. It does have some salt to it. I'm just going to add by eyeball what looks to be about 1/3 of the volume of this in salt. And then blitz this together. I'm going to do the same thing with this, but I just so happen to have this little airtight container available. I'm going to just keep putting my mixture of the celery salt in here for now. And I'm going to be shaking it just to make sure it's all completely dry, which is your good way to make sure you're not storing any powders with moisture in it. And then also, you know, you've made homemade organic celery salt without the weird preservatives, because now that I've added salt, that will also help preserve my celery salt, and it will go on further and have a further shelf life because of that. 2 trays. I'd say that might be 1/3 of a cup, 1/2 a cup, with little to no effort and using up things that would have otherwise went in the trash. And I'm just going to finish processing everything and see how much I get. If I end up getting a whole lot, then I might try to see if I can source some little spice jars, because I think having organic, preservative-free celery salt would be a cute addition to like a Christmas bag or a gift bag for somebody's birthday or something like that when you're giving them the homemade things. So anything over, yeah, I hear you. Anything over in abundance, you can always think about adding it to those little goodie bags for people. I did find this. Somebody gifted this, and it's like the little salt shaker top. But this had wild huckleberry jam in it that somebody gave me from Yellowstone. So this would be a good way to reuse this jar as a gift to somebody else. And then it comes with a little white in there to block the holes. That way I could just package it up, put a new little label on it, and gift away extra celery salt. Okay, so if you found any of this video helpful or educational or just amusing, whatever it is, please remember to hit like, subscribe, and leave us a comment down below. We appreciate all the feedback. And until next time, love you, bye-bye.